Bases dropped in a new round of SDH AM. Wow, look at that. This is what happens, and I guess this is kind of an opening kickoffy thing that I'll get to in a bit. But it's almost to the point to where I feel like I need a hat in the mornings because, I mean, I know that the headset's going to smash the hair down, but the hair kind of has a little thing going on its own. John, hear you there. Thanks for dropping by. It is Thursday Thoughts, and we kind of toured the planet today and let you know what's going on. Hour number 2 is the Power Hour with Nino and Nico, where we tour the planet and get you ready for everything that you need to know in 60 minutes. Obviously, with our buddy Nino Torres, South America, Portugal, all points in between. Niko Moreno, Pulso Sports Sounder at heart. And we get to go through everything MLS. There's a lot that is being reported right now with Messi and friends, Seattle. We have to catch up with Nico because because of the holiday last week, didn't get the chance to catch up with him. But there's a lot going on in Seattle specifically, but we'll talk about everything else going on in Major League Soccer. And that is the rundown for today. Hour number 1, we kind of get to catch up on all the news, all the things, and everything that we might have missed in the overnight. Before we came on this morning, I mean, technically it's this. And we talked about it yesterday. It is now officially official. Bart Sliech is now heading to Brøndby. Now, that is in the barn. That is a done deal. It was announced by the team this morning, a little after 8 o'clock. And so now we knew yesterday that it was close. And so with the announcement by the club, here's the official wording of Bart Sliech to Brøndby. And it is 3 sentences. Announced the transfer of Bartosz Sliech to Brøndby of the Danish Super League for an undisclosed transfer fee. Remember, yesterday we talked about it. Published reports in Europe had it in the neighborhood of 3, whether it was million or euro, don't know. Because you had some folks who were sitting there saying 3 million euros, some folks were saying 3 million US. And remember that it was 3.2, I believe, was the number when Bartosz Sliech was initially picked up by Atlanta United. So technically a break-even deal on the inbound and the outbound. Sliech joined Atlanta January 17, 2024 from Legia Warsaw. Started 58 of his 62 appearances over the last 2 seasons, 4+3. And literally that's it. I mean, it is literally those 3 sentences. Transfers Bart Sliech to Brøndby for an undisclosed fee January 8th to 26th. So now that means that the roster is the following. It is a roster of 26. Now, Hibbert and Hoyos are your keepers. Defenders, Amador, Barakal, who's on loan from Getafe through the end of June. DCQ, Matt Edwards, Stian Gregerson, Thomas Jakob, and Mihai Caden Moore. Ashton Gordon, when we get to the midfield, Ashton Gordon was loaned to Chattanooga FC for the MLS Next Pro season. That happened yesterday. Midfielders, Almiron Alzate, Jay Fortune, Saba, Alexi, Mosqueda, who's on loan to Millonarios through the end of the fiscal year. William Ba, Santi Pita, Will Riley, Cooper Sanchez, Aiden Torres. 5 forwards. It is Brennan, Ashton Gordon, as we mentioned. Technically, he's on the roster, but loaned to Chattanooga FC. Latte Lot, Jamal, and Cayman Togashi. So that is your rundown right now of the roster for Atlanta United heading into training camp. And it's a pitchers and catchers report, I think, late this weekend, and then you're getting your practices in and such. And so right now, roster of 25, and we'll see what it looks like with anything else that might be going on. So I'm just checking the reports overseas. Transfer is confirmed. Let's see. It looks like the contract, as we were discussing, the contract would be through 29. Let's see. Legia Warsaw signed until 2029. Good luck, Brøndby. So that's from Polish reports. So it looks like. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that would be reported from an overseas perspective that would be heading in this direction when it comes to news and such, but not at the moment. Okay, so it looks like what we had yesterday is pretty much where we are. 3 million reported from the European side of things, not from the domestic side. So 3 million on the transfer fee, contract through 29 with Brøndby. That's a heavyweight in Europe, and that is the second highest transfer fee that the club has ever brought forward out of their own bank accounts. So that's what they were looking at when it came to Bart Slieš. They were really willing to spend, which is something that they are not want to do. And they are Daniel Agger, I think, was the previous high at 4, and that was a decade ago. So you have Brøndby breaking the bank for the first time in a decade to the extent that they do. Second highest transfer fee that they've ever instituted to get Bart Slieš from Atlanta United to send him to Brøndby. So that's where you are with that. Ricky does mention the other piece of interesting stuff that went down yesterday. Xolos has a new striker. And I don't know if you've heard of this gentleman, but his name is Joseph Martinez. And so that was announced yesterday. So that was another intriguing piece of news involving, Atlanta United adjacent or history or however you want to phrase it. So Clausura 26. I'm trying to see if there's anything that is when it comes to length of time or anything like that. Literally, Joseph, they have 4 paragraphs, if you want to call a sentence a paragraph. So technically announced the signing of Joseph Martinez coming from San Jose Earthquakes. Career. Paragraph 3, which is really a sentence. Martinez possesses a nose for goal, international experience, and is a true penalty box striker. Welcome to your new home, Joseph Locos ex Tijuas. So that is that's from the club. That was on the club website. So free agent Cesar Luis Merlo is reporting it's a 1-year deal with an option for a second. So it's a 1+1 for Joseph heading to Xolos, and that was another big piece of news yesterday that came out of everything there. So Bart Slieš official. He's heading to Brøndby, and you now have Joseph Martinez, who is going to be in a 1+1 with Xolos. Ashton Gordon loaned to Chattanooga FC, and so you're kind of from an Atlanta United perspective, you're kind of getting your roster kind of sort of squared up because you got 25, you got up to 30. So if something happens with academy players and things like that, someone who stands out, you've got some space. And so we'll see, or if there's another inbound transaction. So you've got some space heading into training camp and pitchers and catchers reporting and such. But yeah, Bart Slieš official. He is now headed to Brøndby in the Danish Super League. And so that does bring up questions and stuff to keep an eye on when it comes to what Tata Martino and his staff are looking to have in the midfield. Does this mean that it is an increased level of trust in Steven Alzate? Does it mean that you are confident in the health and the return of Jay Fortune? So those would be the first 2 things that I would have in my brain going into training camp. So just keep an eye on things. I want to see, once again, you're in the January window. Anything is possible. No reports on anything at all, but I'm just saying that since we're in that window, you can keep an eye on things and just kind of keep your head on a swivel because you're heading into training camp and pitchers and catchers reporting and such. So I guess technically that is opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Morning Espresso. And with Morning Espresso with Jason, you kind of get your big news of the day, and you get Jason's thoughts on everything going on, what you need to know about anything and everything going on the planet. And it's kind of like you sit down at the table and you pop open the newspaper. May the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette rest, even though you're putting a fantastic sports department. I hope that sports department at the Pittsburgh paper, I hope that they really can find a way, maybe if they united on their own and really created a hammer for Pittsburgh news. But sidebar. But it's like Morning Espressos when you're going to sit down at the table. Remember when we used to, some of us of a certain age used to pop open the newspaper, you just kind of sit there, you look at the transactions page. We actually would read the transactions page and all of the standings and all that kind of stuff. Jason gets you set for the day. And there's a lot to talk about when it comes to things now officially official, everything that's going on the planet, stuff that happened in England yesterday. We'll get into the Premier League coming up in a bit as we kind of lead you into the Power Hour coming up in about 45 minutes. But That is Morning Espresso. You can go to soccerdownhere.net. You can sign up for the newsletter, or you can set your notifications on our audio platforms. You can get the audio form of it, or you can watch the video version. So there's different ways that you can ingest your morning espresso, get your morning cup of coffee, kind of pop open the sports page and see what's going on. That leads into us. We kind of give you everything a little bit more in depth, all the things that you might have missed, need to talk about, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if we're really going to talk about Thomas Frank holding an Arsenal Cup going into a matchup that was chaos personified yesterday in the Premier League. But it's those kinds of things. Chris Armas is now officially official as the head coach of the Kansas City Current in the NWSL, which is interesting. We talked to Casey White, if you missed that conversation, last week when that stuff started to bubble up with Jeff Kassouf. And interesting that you have Chris Armas, who was in Major League Soccer, heading over to the NWSL. And the expectation that he's getting into with Vlatko Andonovski now in the front office, with Chris Armas now being the head coach at Kansas City Current, with the talent that's there, and obviously the expectation that is there because of how they blew the doors off the competition in the regular season. Then you end up with injuries late in the year, and you're having to try to rejiggerify your offense and figure out how things go, and you get bumped out of the playoffs. Expectation is already walking in the door with Chris Armas, it's meeting Chris Armas at the door with the expectations. So you've got Chris Armas now in Kansas City with the Kansas City Current. I am intrigued, as we say. Definitely intrigued when it comes to Chris Armas and anything and everything. Ricky wants to know, I guess, okay, so technically, I guess this would go with opening kickoffy kind of thing. So, all right. Let's see. Yeah, I know 4 card. What am I talking about today? It looks like a calm, quiet day, and I hope I got content. I know. Ricky wants to know high school football down here with everything that has been going on with Gainesville and Grayson. So so technically this will be opening kickoff. How about that? Let's do that. Opening kickoff, brought to us by Morning Espresso, is going to be high school football down here. Ricky wants to know what I think about Gainesville and Grayson. So for those that may not be up to date on your high school football here in the state of Georgia, Gainesville High School had Josh Niblett come in 4 years ago from Hoover, Alabama. He was a part of the Rush Probst coaching tree. And Josh came in 4 years ago, and it was announced last week that Josh is leaving, and he is rumored to be taking a position job at the University of Colorado to be with Coach Prem. Nothing is officially official. I've texted Josh, full disclosure, and asked him where I'm supposed to send his M&Ms, because that's like his pregame cheat is M&Ms. And so I've texted Josh and I've asked him, it's like, okay, where am I sending your things? So I've yet to get a response, but I imagine that I'm hoping that I would get one at some point. So Josh Niblett, he's heading to the college ranks apparently. And so Santavius Bryant, who is the head coach who was the head coach at Grayson, is now taking over in Gainesville. And Santavius goes through the shorter Phil Jones coaching tree, and he played up there with Coach Jones. And I've got the chance to ask Coach Bryant about Coach Jones and the kind of mentor that he is. And so anyone who follows either high school football in Middle Georgia or small college football in Northwest Georgia knows the impact that Phil Jones has in the state of Georgia. Tremendous man. He was a great coach and an even better human being. And I loved the time that I worked with him when I was doing the shorter university coaches show when they were in the NAIA. Zach Morrison has a Herculean task working in Division II. They were trying to get to Division II before the NCAA was going to try and stop folks. So Santavius Bryant comes through the Phil Jones coaching tree and the Phil Jones influence, and was an assistant at Gainesville. And this is where this comes from, at least from a base of information. Bryant was an assistant under Josh, went to Grayson to be a head coach, gets a state title at Grayson, and now he heads to Gainesville. And so financially, if you look at it just strictly from the pocketbook, Coach Bryant could be making as much as double what he was making at Grayson. Gainesville has invested in their infrastructure to an amazing level. Last year, During soccer season, we got to call some matches at Bobby Gruen Field at City Park. If you haven't seen the photographs of how the renovation happened at Gainesville and at City Park, it literally looks like a college. The City Park looks like a small college stadium. You're probably seating 8 to 10. And then folks will park on the road above and they'll tailgate up there and have great views and things like that. So the infrastructure to renovate their stadium in the middle of town has been incredible. It's a beautiful thing. Pictures are out there. And we've called games from there. The infrastructure on campus, that what they've done is nothing short of incredible. So the city of Gainesville has invested into the resources into Gainesville High School. So any coach that sees what has been built to this point, it would be a no-brainer to want to go and be a part of something like that. So you now have a coach from a nationally ranked program in Grayson. I think they finished top 15 after they lost to Carrollton in the playoffs. It was shown on GPB, by the way. And you now have him going to Gainesville. The one thing that Josh Niblett did say before he left is, my only regret is that I did not bring a championship to Gainesville, because he said when he came in, when they had the motorcade and everything, and he's dressed all in red and all that, he was there to bring championships to Gainesville. He did not. So that was his only regret. Now Santavius Bryant has the opportunity to do that with Gainesville in a region where they should, short of a competition with Jackson County and an up-and-coming Jackson County program, they should be able to be at least a 2 seed every single season, unless something happens we don't know about in region. So it's Jackson County and Gainesville in that region right now for the next 2 seasons. Santavius Bryant, who has a pedigree of winning at other places, now gets to go to Gainesville and have resources that I don't think he has at Grayson, infrastructure, et cetera, and the backing of the board and all that. So intrigued. I'd like to know if it's going to be officially official that Josh Niblett is going to be going to Colorado to be a part of Coach Prem's staff. So so I'm intrigued. So that's kind of where we are this morning with all of that. So technically, high school football down here was your opening kickoff, brought to us by Morning Espresso and Jason's way to pop open the sports page and let you know what's going on when it comes to soccer in and around the planet, all the things you might have missed overnight, and getting you ready for anything and everything going on. But intrigued by Josh Niblett's exit, intrigued by Santavius Bryant's entrance. And now what does Grayson do? Grayson is not a gig that is just a humdrum gig. So what does Grayson do? So we'll see what happens there. So Santavius Bryant, officially official. Big, pretty picture, a nice JPEG that they put out this morning. So Bryant's officially official. Josh Niblett has left. We don't know where. We are intimating that he's heading to Boulder to be a part of Coach Prem's staff. They're saying the tight ends coach. Don't quite know that yet. So we'll see what happens there. Interesting personalities that will be on display in Boulder, Colorado. So that's kind of what we're looking at. All right. So when it comes to all the things that are going on, we can kind of blow through what happened with all of the news that's fit to print and such. So just to kind of lay out all of the transactions and things, like I said, we mentioned Chris Armas. We'll get into the more in depth when it comes to Messi and friends. Keep an eye on David Ayala. We'll discuss that. Keep an eye on Tristan Blackman, which was interesting, and we'll get into that. So we probably should get into it here, and if we talk about it with Nico more, we will. So we'll keep an eye on that. Mikael is official. David Ayala looks like they're heading in that direction. Amin Bodri, LAFC, perhaps. Nashville SC yesterday added Shaq Muhammad and Isaiah LaFleur. They did some trade gymnastics with Philly to try and get a waiver claim. And so it was getting waiver rights to improve their position to grab LaFleur. So Shaq Muhammad comes with his MLS Next Pro production, and Isaiah LaFleur comes in as a defender once again through 26 club options beyond that. So Nashville adds those two. We are going to get into Christian Espinoza. I mistakenly referred to him as Christian Ramirez yesterday with Dylan, but it's Christian Espinosa free agency. You know that Bruce Arena's pissed. And so we'll talk about Nashville. You had with Zach Booth going to RSL, and you had Alex Bonetti going to Portland from Australia. Columbus, once again, signed a couple of homegrowns. We got into that briefly with Chris Doran yesterday. Chase Adams, Quentin Elliott, Owen Presthus. And we've seen Presthus with Crew 2 going up against Atlanta United 2 in the past. So we know what Owen Presthus brings to the table. We mentioned Charleston Battery yesterday. It appears that the USL and the Players Association are resuming their talks today when it comes to their disagreements and what the CBA should look like. So we'll keep an eye on that. We've got Kaylor Hodges kind of on bat signal. If there's anything that goes sideways, good or bad, we'll catch up with Kaylor and find out what's on his mind that's there. Jeremy Hall got named the U18 men's national team head coach, if you missed that. His time with Loons 2 was last season, and now he is full-time with the U.S. men's national team at the U18 level. So very, very cool stuff there as well. Also, a quick note, Atlanta United named a new CFO. Tom Denby comes in from Norwich City, and you add his knowledge of the international transactions and windows and what it's like to negotiate and navigate all that kind of stuff. So you're looking at all that stuff too. All right, now stuff from yesterday. There's a lot, meaning basically from. We'll start with England. We'll start there. And it was a very, very busy day for folks in the Premier League yesterday. Today, by the way, 3 o'clock, Arsenal and Liverpool. And if you are a fan, or if you are Manchester City or Aston Villa, you are becoming a fan of Arne Slot at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Right now, the juice box is Arsenal prohibited favorite at a minus 175. Your draws a plus 319, and Liverpool is a plus 459. And we have the 9-day gap. And then everybody kicks back in on the 17th. But yesterday, very, very busy day, chaotic day on a couple of different fronts. Burnley and Manchester United. Benjamin Sesko had a brace. I don't know how many of us had that on the bingo card at a plus 281. Manchester United had to come from behind to draw Burnley. So it was a big point for Scotty Tuhati and Burnley at Turf Moor, but they really should have come up with 3. They did not. Benjamin Sesko gets a brace at a plus 281, a 2-2 draw. Newcastle and Leeds, part of the chaos of yesterday. Newcastle comes down from 1 goal down, 3 separate occasions. And then you end up with a goal later than late for a 4-3 win. And the look on Daniel Farke's face looked like someone literally took his sandwich and threw it in the garbage. I mean, it was a sandwich that he probably spent 25 minutes on at home thinking it was the perfect sandwich. It was a Dagwood that had like 19 different layers to it. And Eddie Howe just came in late, grabbed the sandwich, and went, ooh, I don't like any of that. Threw it in the garbage. 4-3 win for Newcastle. Big win for them at home after coming from behind on 3 separate occasions at a minus 159. Big work for them. Bournemouth and Spurs. And we'll look this morning and see what the temperature is with Thomas Frank on a couple of different fronts. One of them is silly. One of them is, in fact, silly. But, we've got to kind of talk about it anyway, and then we'll dismiss it. He goes to work, and he's holding whatever beverage he was going to work in at the Vitality in an Arsenal cup. Thomas Frank, when asked about it, he's like, I didn't know that it was an Arsenal cup. Everybody's turning it into a big row, something along the lines of, Pascual Perez going around 285, that kind of big a deal. So Thomas Frank was like, I didn't know. If I'd known, I obviously wouldn't have done it. And so now that is adding fuel to anything and everything that's going on where Thomas Frank is concerned. And we talked about it as far back as Monday, that could Thomas Frank be the next one with pitchforks, tiki torches, and exit papers? After losing 3-2 to Bournemouth at the Vitality, Bournemouth was favored, even though it was on the plus side. And you get your storybook ending with Antoine Semenyo. Semenyo scores the goal later than late to give the full points to Bournemouth, their first win in 275 years this season. But it was a big win for Bournemouth. They needed it. They needed it badly. So you end up with a win for Bournemouth. People raising all kinds of hell about Thomas Frank holding an Arsenal Cup as he was working his way into work. And so, of course, because he's got an Arsenal Cup, obviously his mind is elsewhere. And so you end up with all of that furor that's attached to it. We'll go over the standings in a sec. So you're like, okay, so let's focus on that. And if things didn't get any worse after the match, you had Cuti Romero speaking out. And so literally the Arsenal Cup was, if Arsenal and Spurs, if you don't know, they don't like each other. So Thomas Frank walking into work with an Arsenal Cup, unaware, and he said, saying it would be completely stupid of him to go into work knowing full well that it was an Arsenal Cup. Quote, definitely didn't notice it. I think it's fair to say that not winning every single football match, it will be absolutely completely stupid of me to take a cup with Arsenal on it. Anyone who thinks I've done that or the staff has done that, it's been in the changing room from the game before to take a cup. I think it's a bit sad in football that I need to be asked a question about that. We agree. I think we're definitely going in the wrong direction if we need to worry about me having a cup with another logo from another club. Of course, I would never do that. That's extremely stupid. Further issues between Spurs players and supporters. Mickey Van de Ven, Joao Palhinha, Pedro Porro. Scenes after the match. Van de Ven seen gesturing to fans in a standoff, and this is from our friends at the Telegraph, while Palhinha seen going over the barrier to meet supporters face-to-face. 2 wins for Tottenham since mid-November. Frank did not witness what happened after the match with Van de Ven Palhinha at all. Quote, I haven't seen the fans and the players at the end. I think it's fair to say that for everyone involved in Tottenham, it's a tough one to take today. Hopefully everyone can see how hard we work. Of course, people are frustrated. I hope everyone sees how hard we work. It's extremely painful to see, end quote. Andoni Iraola, on the flip side, believes Antoine Semenyo deserves to leave his club on a high on the injury time winner. Expected to travel to Manchester City, they're saying as early as today, to finalize a move to the Etihad. Ended a run of 11 matches without a victory, although they let the lead slip at halftime. Bournemouth manager felt his current players getting what he deserves. Quote, Semenyo deserved his moment. You want to talk storybook? That was storybook. I'm happy football's given him the moment he will never forget. He's never found excuses. He was ready to give whatever was needed. We pushed to keep him to the last second here, and I think it's fair that he leaves with the feeling that he has had at the end with the reception of the supporters. Bournemouth scored also Evan Nilsson, Junior Krupi, and then you get your stoppage time winner, your injury time winner with Antoine Semenyo, technically listed at 90 plus 5. So it was a win that Bournemouth desperately needed if you are a fan of the Cherries. But once again, it continues to throw a lot of anger and vitriol at Thomas Frank. We mentioned Cuti Romero. From our friends at The Guardian, posted a strongly worded message that initially appeared to accuse the hierarchy of telling quote-unquote lies before being edited to remove the reference. What remained on his post on Instagram, and we'll click on it just to see if the Instagram post is still out there or if it has been deleted. I meant to go say open link in new tab, not copy link. It's there. Okay. So it is there in its form. It has been edited. Apologies to all fans of you who follow us everywhere, who are always there and will continue to be. We are responsible. There is no doubt about that. I'm the first. But we'll keep facing up to it and trying to turn the situation around for ourselves and for the club. Times like this, it should be the other people coming out to speak, but they don't. I'm going to do that again. At times like this, it should be other people coming out to speak, but they don't, as has been happening for several years now. They only show up when things are going well. We'll stay here working, sticking together, and giving our all to turn things around, especially at times like this. Keeping quiet, working harder, and moving forward all together is a part of football. All together, it will be easier. And so everyone had the collective eyebrow raised after that. Since Daniel Levy, and once again, this is from The Guardian and their news services, was forced out of his role in early September, a new leadership team had been running the club. Peter Charrington, brought onto the board in March, stepped into the newly created role of non-executive chair. Venkatesham has been chief exec since June. Club are run by the Lewis family through a family trust. Richarlison responded to Romero's message with a hand-clapping emoji. Pedro Porro posted a response that began, "Amen." 14th in the Prem, fourth worst home record, hosting Villa in the third round of the FA Cup this weekend. And so that's why there is no Premier League action this weekend, is because it's an FA Cup weekend. So that's the vitriols that is outbound from Juti Romero. So, yeah, it ain't good right now at Spurs. 3-2 win for Bournemouth. Antoine Semenyo, the £60 million exit clause activated by Manchester City, so it looks like it's a mere formality at this point. Brentford shuts out Sunderland. Sunderland threw out a clunker. Brentford scores 3 before Sunderland has a chance to blink. They were a favorite at a plus 104. Sunderland gets a clunker on the road. Crystal Palace and Villa goalless draw. You can take it a number of different ways. You can sit there and go good defensive effort by Crystal Palace when they really need one from Oliver Glasner, or Aston Villa had an opportunity that was missed. You could probably sit there and say both at a plus 236. Everton and Wolves. Everton gives Wolves another point this season. 1-1 draw to plus 247. Fulham 2-1 winners over Chelsea. Long day for Chelsea. Chelsea was trailing 1-0. They come back to equalize, and then Fulham gets a winner to make it 2-1. Manchester City and Brighton, another missed opportunity for Pep Guardiola. And for Manchester City, they had the chance to close the gap to the top. They did not. And we'll get into FA Cup, et cetera, here in just a bit, because there is a bit of it. There's a report involving Manchester City. We'll get into it in a sec. So here's your rundown now of the standings heading into FA Cup weekend. It's the third round of the FA Cup. Obviously, tomorrow we'll talk about it and get you ready for those matchups. Arsenal, Manchester City had a chance to close the gap to 3. Couldn't do it. And they also have a match. Arsenal has a match in hand and a 5-point lead heading into today. So if you are a Manchester City or a Villa fan or either or, you're looking at Liverpool right now. Liverpool, City and Villa, 43 points. Arsenal and Liverpool match in hand. Liverpool's at 34. Both teams unbeaten in 5. Arsenal has a 5-game winning streak. Brentford is 5th at 33 points, unbeaten in their last 5. Newcastle with the win. They've won now 3 in a row. They're at 32 ahead. Manchester United on goal difference. Manchester United is unbeaten in 4, but only one of those is a win. Chelsea's at 31 points. They have not won in their last 5. They have 3 points in their last 5. 2-game unbeaten streak snapped last time out. Fulham unbeaten in 5. That's why they're up to 31 points and they're in 9th. Sunderland with that clunker, they had that run of 4 draws stop. They're at 30 points. They're in 10th. I think Sunderland might be coming back to the mean. Brighton at 29 points. Everton also there, but behind on goal difference. They're in 12th. Crystal Palace has not won in 5. They have 2 draws in their last 3. They're at 28 and 13th. Spurs, once again, have not won in their last 3. They have 2 draws in that span. They're at 27 points. Bournemouth at 26. Needed the win desperately, I think. Leeds, with the loss, they're at 22. They had drawn their last 3. They had a nice unbeaten run going up until the match yesterday. Nottingham Forest, who got the win last time out, really needed it to separate themselves from the 3 at the bottom. Nottingham Forest is at 21 points. Relegation zone currently, West Ham, Burnley, and Wolves. West Ham 7 points from safety, 14 points. They've lost 4 of 5. They have 1 point in their last 5 matches. Burnley, with the draw, gets another point, gets them closer to West Ham, but they are at 13 points at 3-4 and 14. They've only scored 22 goals in their first 21 matches. Same for West Ham. Goal difference is about the same. Both teams giving up about 2 goals a match. And then you've got Wolves, who are at 7 points, and they've gotten 5 of those points in their last 3 matches at 1-4-16. 15 goals scored, 41 allowed. So you're talking what? 3/4 of a goal a match compared to 2 allowed. That's not a good ratio. No update yet on anything involving either Jurgen Strand-Larsen outbound or Sam Surridge inbound. Like I said, we'll get into the Christian Espinosa talk with Niko Moreno in the last half hour of the show. But that's where things are right now in England. And that's what you're staring at with the Premier League. So it was a very, very busy day leading into FA Cup weekend. Speaking of FA Cup weekend, Exeter City is coming up with their matchup against Manchester City. And they have asked for a greater share of the gate receipts. Manchester City is not changing their standard club policy. Will Unwin at The Guardian this morning. The financially troubled League One club this week revealed they had asked the Premier League club for a greater proportion of the gate receipts as a statement of solidarity. Exeter, whose supporters trust is the club's majority shareholder, is going to take 8,000 fans to the Etihad to face Manchester City. Each club gets 45% of gate receipts. The other 10% goes to the FA, in line with competition rules. It's estimated ticket sales will generate between £250,000 and £400,000 for Exeter. The Supporters Trust issued a statement yesterday. And they said the club have written to Manchester City to ask whether they would consider voluntarily transferring a portion of their share of matchday gate receipts to Exeter City. It would have a tangible impact on their finances and would stand as a strong statement of solidarity with sustainable fan-owned football. Manchester City, according to Unwin, seen the request, but they're not changing their standard policy. And they've been Exeter, by the way, has been owned by the fans for 23 years. Exeter made 2 rounds of redundancies and required £600,000 in loans from the Supporters Trust to help stabilize finances. The home ground sustained about $100,000 in fire damage back in November. The game has not been selected for TV coverage, which means that Exeter will miss out on the TV money that's there. Replays are not a part of the competition from first round proper. And so it's a one-shot deal for Exeter. They're going to get between $250,000 and $400,000. They asked for a bit more of the stake. Manchester City said no. So that's FA news coming into today. 15 minutes, we'll catch up with Nino Damas and find out what's on his mind in and around the planet. We'll go around the world in 60 minutes and let you know what else is going on in and around anything and everything going on this morning when it comes to the world of soccer. And Everton and Wolves. I meant to talk about this when we were getting into Everton and Wolves. Jack Grealish gets sent off yesterday, and it was a 9-man Everton squad that held on with Wolves. So literally, you got a man sent off, then Jack Grealish ends up with a second yellow, gets a red, he's gone. And it was 1-1. Then you end up with Keane getting a red in the 83rd. Jack Grealish gets one in the 90th. So literally they were a man down for the final 7+, and then Grealish gets a second yellow for mocking the referee, Thomas Kirk. That didn't go well. So Keane grabs the hair of Tolo Orokadare. Then manager David Moyes wasn't a fan of that. Then Grealish for mocking, basically. It was his first time that he was sent off in the Premier League. Jack Grealish goes, yay! And it's only his second top-flight match. And so he applauds the center ref in his second top-flight match. And Thomas Kirk was like, okay, yeah, cool, bang. There's your second yellow. You're out. Keane's third goal of the year got him a club's joint second highest scorer, which is something that Everton really has to deal with. Sorry, Ropes. 5 points in 3 matches, draws away at Manchester United, now Everton. Does it show that Wolves have turned a corner? 11 straight league defeats, 14 points from safety. Everton, 1 win in their last 6, 2-7 at Bramley Moore Dock. And so now, Jack Grealish and Michael Keane will not be around on the 17th, the weekend of the 17th. Idrissa Gueye and Iliman Ndiaye still have yet to return from AFCON. 4 others are out with injury. They had to recall an 18-year-old academy graduate, and he got his first Premier League start. So you had all of that chaos to deal with if you were an Everton fan yesterday. Nothing like that. It's like things are bad, and so what do? You sit there and you mock the official, and you get your second yellow, and then, okay, great, fine, thanks. Bang, you're gone. So you had to finish the last handful of minutes. 9 men. Good on you. Good on you, Jack Grealish. All right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo from what we know. We mentioned Bournemouth and Antoine Semenyo. Bournemouth are interested in the loan move for Arsenal forward Ethan Nwaneri. Nwaneri wants to stay until the end of the season. I think I would too. Not getting a whole lot of first-team minutes, but nevertheless, Ethan Nwaneri wants to stay. Oliver Glasner says he's going to intensify, his word, talks about a new deal with the club in the next weeks before he makes the final decision. Mark Gahey is wanted by Liverpool and by City. Liverpool could be lining up $20 million or so to make a move for him, according to the Mirror. Liverpool's Joe Gomez, Nottingham Forest Murillo, 2 of the options for AC Milan as they're looking to work on their back line. That's from our friends at Calcio Mercato. John Stones is in the final year of his deal. And Pep Guardiola doesn't know if John Stones is going to be around after his contract is up. Balotelli is set for the Mario Balotelli. I did not realize this. It appears, according to our friends at Goal, that Mario Balotelli is set for the 14th club in his career. 14th club. I have to check this out now. Mario Balotelli. All right, so Mario Balotelli. See, now, Will, now you're taunting me with P-Hop gear. Why you want to do that, man? Okay. So, senior career. Lumezzane, Inter, Manchester City, AC Milan, Liverpool, Nice, Marseille, Brescia, Monza, Demirspor, Sion, back to Demirspor, Genoa, and now apparently Al-Ittifaq. So, that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I got 13. 13th club for Mario Balotelli. Looks like he's headed to Al-Ittifaq in the second tier of the UAE. Mikey Mignon has been linked to Chelsea, close to contract extension with AC Milan. Bayern Munich's Dio Upamecano verbally agreed to a new deal, remaining issue about a release clause, according to Fabrizio Romano. Liverpool considering a move for Mason Greenwood. He's been working very, very well for Marseille. That's from Pichajes. And we mentioned the conversations with Spurs about Sosa and Santos. They're in talks to sign him after an initial £8 million bid was rejected. So they have not given up on that idea, but nevertheless, they're still going to be chasing after it. Let's see. Stuff in the lower divisions. Crawley's England-born American midfielder Kyle Scott, once on the books of Chelsea, lined up for a move for Vegas Lights in the championship over here. Tommy Scoops broke that one yesterday. Now, any other gossip, rumor, and innuendo that we can stare at here quickly? 13 clubs for Mario Balotelli. I think 13. I think that BBC put in a 14th because they thought it was a loan deal counted as a club. But you went back to the second show. You went back to your second tour for a club, and so I'm thinking not. Excuse me. Tomorrow. Everton Ben Jacobs, one of the busiest men in the world. And we'll see if we can catch up with him in the 10 o'clock hour tomorrow. We are going to catch up with Cody Case, the head coach at Valdosta. Big weekend for soccer in South Georgia. And we'll find out what kind of a bit of a season preview. There's going to be a clinic this weekend in Valdosta. So we'll catch up with Cody Case and find out what it's like to be a Wildcat and what Wildcat soccer is going to be like in the clinic that's going to be happening this weekend. Also, we're going to be catching up with Philip Goodrum. Philip Goodrum is now both sides of the Bluegrass Derby, goes from Louisville to Lexington. We'll find out what it's going to be like for him in his new home. We've caught up with Philip. We've known Philip ever since he was here with the Twos, and so it's the next step on his path, and we'll find out what's up with Philip Goodrum as he's heading to Lexington. So efforting Ben Jacobs tomorrow. And we will have Philip Goodrum and Cody Case hanging out with us tomorrow on a Friday to get you ready for the weekend, trying to see if there's anything else going on. So Ben Jacobs reporting Mohamed Kudus out until after the international break. It's a bigger injury, tendon in the quad, according to Thomas Frank. So Mohamed Kudus is out for a bit. Liverpool agreed to sign 18-year-old center back Mor Njai from Senegalese side Amity FC, scouted at the U17 World Cup in Qatar, expected to join the U21 side. Fenerbahce set to sign Matteo Guendouzi from Lazio and the man's hair. Understand the total package is around 30 million euro. He is now in Istanbul undergoing a medical. Agent Mesa Njai and Fenerbahce Director of Football Devin Uzek, both key parts in the club record transfer. Callum McFarland is going to be hanging around Liam Rosenior's staff at Chelsea, according to Kieran Gill, the four-letter paper. And so he's going to be sticking up with the senior side. And Al Ittihad not planning on any high-profile departures in January. Futures of Karim Benzema and N'Golo Kante expected to be clarified in the summer. The players are happy with Conceição, and the Ittihad manager is content with his squad, but not ruling out some new Saudi additions. There will be some outgoings. Giancarlo Simic has interest from MLS. That's the first I've heard of that. And Russia also could leave despite only joining in September for 21 million euro. Al Ittihad has decided to sell Abdul Rahman Al Aboud following disciplinary issues. A call was taken, and solutions are now being explored. So the morning GMS show with Ben Jacobs, he was crazy. It had Jamie Jackson, Leroy Rosenior, and Olivia Buzalo. It was very, very busy stuff with him this morning. Like I said, we're going to try and track him down, see if we can pin him into the 10 o'clock hour tomorrow and find out what in the wide world of sports is going on over there. Southampton confirmed Daniel Peretz has joined on loan from Bayern Munich. And so he said that he wants to help the team get back to the Premier League and keeping an eye on there. So medical today, according to Ben, 5.5-year deal with Semenyo and Manchester City. Manchester City have agreed to a £64 million package, the release clause plus $1.5 million. They're going to pay it over 2 years. Bournemouth gets a 10% sell-on. Good work for them. Manchester City decided to offer above the 60 from the release clause to gain a more preferable payment term. It's the biggest sale in Bournemouth history. And Bournemouth also got Semenyo to play against Chelsea, Arsenal, and Spurs. So that was an important stretch for Bournemouth to get through. They got through it with Semenyo, and so now it really appears that it's going to be 64 to 65 from Manchester City to Bournemouth on the impending transaction of Antoine Semenyo. So very, very cool stuff there. Let's see. What else did I have on? Thiago Almada. We forgot to talk about that. Thiago Almada, and this might have almost been an opening kickoff kind of a thing. He is trending, by the way, on the 280-character app. So right now, for Atletico Madrid and Lyon, and none of this should surprise anybody here, 35 matches, 16 starts, 4+5. 6 big chances created, 36 key passes, 89% passing accuracy, 57% dribble success, 118 balls recovered, and a SOFA score rating in the aggregate of just under 7, literally 6.97. And so now, after the initial conversations where it appears that Thiago Almada is being chased after by multiple clubs, you now have like 98 clubs now chasing after Thiago Almada. Gremio was the initial interest. They wanted a loan deal with a purchase option. Atletico rejected the idea yesterday. The player would only leave permanently, according to Ekrem Konur, for around 20 million euro, and that's 50% of the pass. Then you go from that news yesterday to published reports, truth of which, can be from one end of the scale to the other. So you add from Gremio now, apparently, and none of the clubs, according to those who follow, Joao Boyson, among others, And then once again, Boyson, at this time of year, once again, check your sources, check your sources, check your sources. Boyson does not have a large following in the periodicals in South America. But there are reports out there that say, in addition to Gremio, Flamengo, Palmeiras, Cruzeiro, and Atletico Mineiro. Let's see if we can bring this up with Nino Torres coming up in a couple of minutes. None have made an official proposal, but word was yesterday that Gremio would be interested, and Atletico Madrid is like, okay, 20 million euro, 50% of the pass. So how bad do you want him? And does this turn into something akin to 5 clubs trying to sit there and be on the floor of the commodities exchange and trading places? Buy him, one of those. What's it going to look like now with Thiago Almada? That is an interesting question with Thiago Almada. What's going to happen there? Because if he is moved in this window, yes, it would be an opportunity for Thiago Almada to have been shifted twice before Atlanta United is paid once. Just saying. It's food for thought for a bit. I figured I would have that ruminate for a second. Yeah, Will bought the Lighthouse kit from P-Hop. Yeah, I know. It's just, Will, all these things. Okay, so and that's definitely worth it. Yeah. I mean, I personally, for me, I would buy it like 2 or 3 sizes big, knowing that I would screw it up, and then, so we'll see. But with P-Hop, but yeah, I know. Let's see who's in this morning. I know Will and Ricky are in this morning, going back and forth. And Ricky says some of the strangest Atlanta sports news in the last 96 hours. Yep. Falcons. And then you end up with the Bartosz Slisz news. Morning 4 card. And Will, I mean, there are a lot of folks Will's not happy about it. You're not alone in that. But with that move, now like I said, since we're just getting into pitchers and catchers reporting, I want to see what it looks like now. Are you going to continue to chase after individuals? Is it going to be? Are you confident with Jay Fortune's recovery? Are you confident in Steven Alzate, giving him a something akin to a starting role? What's it going to look like? So, those are the questions that lead to the answer being Bart Slisz's exit. Where are the questions now? Now, what questions get answered? That's what we're kind of staring at with this. But no, it's fantastic what we saw from Bart, and we got to see his game evolve to where it is. And you wish him nothing but the best at Brøndby. And if I can find a way, if they're selling Slisz gear, I'll probably get that and pay the frickin' $98 gazillion tariff fee or something like that. Or if somebody does something domestic, we'll see what we can do. But I'll see if I can track down something Brøndby that might have Bart Slisz's name on it. So that's kind of where we're at with all the things. Let me check really quickly and see if there's anything domestically that I might have missed out on. And then we will be catching up with Nino Damas here in a second. And remember that Nino Damas now is letting us see what's going on in the World Cup. He's bringing his World Cup moments to us. I'm looking forward to all those other moments. But yeah, coming up bottom of the hour, once again, last half hour, it's going to be our buddy Niko Moreno. We'll talk Christian Espinoza. We'll talk Messi and friends. Oh, I meant to go into the Vancouver Whitecaps situation involving Tristan Blackman. It had been reported yesterday that Tristan Blackman was being added to Messi and friends. Axel Schuster steps forward and says, as previously communicated, quote, as previously communicated since the end of last season, several clubs from both domestic and international markets have contacted us to express interest in our players. We view this interest as a positive confirmation of the quality and appeal of our team. However, we have neither actively sought nor do we intend to seek the sale of any additional players. On the contrary, our clear objective is to keep the current group together and further strengthen it in order to compete with a strong and competitive team again next season. Therefore, we firmly reject reports suggesting that we are close to completing the transfer of any of our players. The situation is, in fact, the exact opposite. So folks had gone to multiple folks yesterday, soccer team and player folks, were discussing things with pundits and writers, saying that Tristan Blackman was the name attached to around a $3 million bid from Messi and friends. Vancouver wants to extend his contract. And then you get into the math about how something like this could happen. And you're looking at, I think it was 2.1 in GAM that was going to be administered this season. Then you had another couple of transactions that added up to about $4 million in GAM. So you could have players that are either being sought or are under your umbrella, David Ayala, that would be a part of that $4 million in GAM that you could distribute and figure out, okay, how are we paying folks this year? So I think the number with all of the transactions outbound, Campana, et cetera, was going to be up to about $4 million in GAM. So I don't know legitimately how you're going to make these things work. But like I said, as we talked about before, I have, look, the fact that the Moss brothers and Rolson Leahy and that front office are sitting there and they're pushing all these buttons and trying to figure out how things are. I mean, I give them credit for doing it. I give them full credit for challenging the rest of the league. Hey, how serious are you? I know that it gets tiresome for a lot of you to sit here and say, well, Miami's chasing so-and-so. Messi and friends are chasing so-and-so. Messi and friends are chasing so-and-so. Hey, they signed so-and-so. I know that gets tiresome. They have the aspiration of wanting to win CONCACAF Champions Cup. They want to win the Triple C. And so we will find out what it looks like with all of their acquisitions and what it looks like when pitchers and catchers report for Messi and friends coming up in short order. Obviously, bottom of the hour, we'll also talk about Nikola Petkovic, and we'll talk about Allende, Houston, and Matty Bogish. There's a lot there to get into with Niko Moreno when he comes in at the bottom of the hour. So there's plenty to talk about when it comes to Major League Soccer and the ins and the outs as everybody's heading into camp and getting ready for anything and everything that will be going on. AFCON, before we get actually tell you what, let me get into what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it before our friend Nino Torres joins us today once again. Being in Espanol, simulcasting the Trophée des Champions in France with PSG and Marseille. That's at 1 o'clock. And you can watch all the BNs with what to watch and where to watch it, brought to you by our friends at Fanatis. Go to fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps them, helps us, helps you by adding more matches to everything you're already watching. With Fanatis, you get BN, home of AFCON, along with Teise, matches from Argentina, more leagues from South America, all in one place. One subscription, one home, fntz.co. fntz.co/soccer down here. So the Trophée des Champions, 1 o'clock, BN in Espanol. Spanish Supercopa, ATLUTD and Real Madrid is at 2 o'clock on the Deuce. Arsenal and Liverpool's on NBCSN at 3 o'clock. I've still got to figure out if I can find NBCSN on my cable. I'm just going to Peacock. ESPN Deportes simulcasting the Supercopa, 2 matches in Serie A. Cremonense and Jamie Vardy hosting Cagliari at 12:30. Milan and Genoa is at 2:45. So that's your rundown of everything today. AFCON picks back up tomorrow. Mali, Senegal, Morocco, and Cameroon in the quarters. Algeria, Nigeria, Egypt, and Cote d'Ivoire. That is on Saturday when it comes to your quarters. And the Nigeria players, just something to keep an eye on. Nigeria's players are less than happy right now because they apparently have not been paid bonuses that they are entitled to. And so keep an eye on the Nigeria roster, and we'll find out what it's going to look like for them and AFCON as we get into the quarterfinals. It is hour number 2, and it is that time to find out what in the wide world of sports is going on. And for this, we go to Lima, Peru, and we get to catch up with our buddy Nino Torres, who is smarting. Is smarting the right word? Is he kind of smarting from what's been going on with Manchester United and the the after Amorim time. So let's find out. Let's see as we go fully loaded. Yellow. How you doing?
Yellow. Soccer down here, fans, and absolutely fully loaded here. I got that people sitting on my counter kitchen. It's crazy, man. It is insane. But it's good, right? It's good business. Good business. But thank you guys for having me today. I'm all excited. I mean, we got a lot to talk about, man. I sent you the list, brother, and it's on fire, man. It's on fire.
And I have yet to see it. So I've just opened up the document from Nino Damas, and we'll find out what it is. Oh. Topic number 1. Liga Uno and the TV rights. It's a hot mess in Peru. We knew it was. He's having. It's like people are calling him and stuff, and so we got to nothing like a tease, nothing like teasing it all, and then all of a sudden having people sit there and go, dude. Are people calling you? Are you that busy with the cakes?
No. It's my freaking connection is just playing me today, man. I don't know what's going on. I was gonna tell you, send me a link, by email. Takes I don't know why it takes a long time to load on the computer. So it's better send me a link by the email, and then
it's the same link. Whatever that hasn't changed. It's always the same thing. So everything you clicked on in the past, it's going to bring you right in here. So that hasn't changed. So anything old, just hit it.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna then upload the WhatsApp earlier then. So yeah. Okay.
It's yes. Studio space hasn't changed it, and it ain't never gonna change. Okay. So what is this about the TV rights deal? We knew it was a mess, and now you're officially calling it a hot mess in Peru, sir. Please explain.
So, Universidad Deportes was the to join the group, right? Because everybody signed up with Once Noventa is the company that has the TV rights for the Liga Uno in Pride. But then they got a meeting. Universidad hasn't signed up yet for the all right, but they got a meeting because this company owes money to 5 teams from last year. And Melgar from 2023, he still has the 23 that hasn't paid yet, and we're in 2026 now, and it needs to be lined up. They need to put Universidad Deportes on the grid because if you got the try champions, they were like, all right, you're gonna come in, you're not coming, you're coming, you're going. We're gonna they'll have a meeting. It's supposed to be what's today, the 8th, tomorrow. Where the original date for the draw in the Liga Uno was yesterday, but they couldn't come up to an agreement with the Once Noventa. The TV rights are here. Are you gonna pay me now? Are you gonna pay me? When are you gonna pay me? First off,
yeah,
right. The clubs are saying, and we're gonna pay you like next one the deal, and I'll pay you. Right? No signing. We're not signing anything. We're not signing one damn thing before you pay us. Okay. Okay. So you're gonna sign? No, we're not gonna sign. We're not signing. Show me the money, baby, and they will sign.
All
right. So they got there was another meeting. There's another meeting today around noon. Okay, we don't have the insight yet, but it's around noon. And if that goes well, that will take place tomorrow. But if they don't come out to an agreement today, the draw will not be taking place tomorrow. And originally, the date it's for January 31st. That's when the tournament is supposed to start. We are January 8th, and I don't see anything clear yet. And on the other hand, Universidad Deportes has the La Noche Crema, which is the team's presentation of the year. They show the new signings. There's a game there. It's a party, and it's gonna go through the national TV channel. which is the state station, right? And the president, the current president of my country, who's fan of it? You know who's his team?
Who's his team?
Universitario de Deportes is his team. So I don't know if Once 90 will come up with an agreement with Universitario, but the president he likes his team to be on national TV, maybe, right? And not necessarily in a cable channel, right? Might be. Just think about it. Think about it, and let me know. All right. So that's what's going on right now. So if Universitario says no, they can be still in their own contract, in their own league, even though everybody's supposed to be lined up with this company on 90. And so that's where we are now, brother. It's a hot mess, man. It's a hot mess, and that's going to stop anytime soon, man.
No, that sounds like it is not, sir. Topic number 2, we go to Portugal. And Benfica out of the League Cup, Mourinho, Amorim, and Martinez. Now, I know that Jose Mourinho decided, after a loss, we ain't going home. Everybody's sleeping here. So are things already off the rails as they appear, sir?
I got to tell you something. I think that Benfica is going to come up empty-handed this year out of everything.
Wow.
No League Cup, no Portuguese Cup, no league, because Porto's going to win the league. And Champions League. Oh no, forget about the Champions League. Dude, that's off the table from the very beginning. So 0, 0, 0, 0 trophies for Benfica is the Nino Torres prediction for the year. But as I put the names in there, right? I put Mourinho, Amorim, and Martinez, right?
Yeah.
Things could shift diabolical if this happens, right? Because Amorim is out of, he's out. He's taking a forced vacation now. But he's a Benfica man, right? And they like him in Benfica, all right? They don't like very much Roberto Martinez in the Seleção. So this is the Nino Torres prediction. This is the shift of power in Portugal. Okay. Mourinho gets sacked.
Yeah.
Amorim takes Benfica. Martinez gets sacked in the World Cup. And Mourinho takes the Seleção.
Wow.
Okay. That's I think that's the chain of events that I'm. Where's my hat, man? Where's my Nino Torres hat?
Where is your Nino Torres lid, brother?
Right here.
There it is. Right. There it is.
There you go. That's the Nino Torres mode right now.
Wow. Yep. Okay.
That's what I think it's going to be, man.
Okay. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and his point of view on transfers. Is he whining or is he right? So for those that don't know his stance, what is Karl-Heinz Rummenigge's point of view on transfers to begin with?
He came up with this statement, right? That we are in a statement where not compete with Saudi Arabia, all right? We cannot compete with nations. This is not clubs versus clubs. This is clubs versus nations, like Qatar, like Saudi Arabia. And he suggested that all the parties should get together, players, agents, clubs, and to determine which way are they going to go. Where's the limit? Like where's the limit? All right, you can't come down here and, hey, I want to pay 500 million for your player. Oh, you're the only one who can pay that money, right? Just take it. What about the other ones? I don't know, but it's how it is now, the business. And I think he's. You don't want me to tell you something? I'm not delusional right now because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I
don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to agree to make less money because you came up with a plan, right? Players are going to, you're going to pay me less money, and the agents, we're going to take less money. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So the clubs, we're going to be into this utopic democracy of a transfer market now. Ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. It's just going to get worse. That's my POV. At worse and worse and worse. We're taking that route already, and the origin of this crazy war that we're living now in terms of numbers on transfers. It's the Neymar transfer. The Neymar transfer set up the precedent. How much is that much? How much is it? Can you pay 250? Yeah, we can pay 250. They threw that number just in order to say, yeah, he's not gonna be sold. He's not gonna be sold. But they put the money down. They put the money down, 250. Boom. Right there. So I'm sorry, Carl. I love you as a player, man. I love you in the World Cup 1982 and then the Euros in 1980. But I don't know about now, brother. I don't know about now. You dominate the Bundesliga. What are you complaining about? So you want more power for Bayern? Is that what you want? So you're not happy winning 7 titles in a row? You're not happy stealing? Right, all the players from Borussia Dortmund, from Leverkusen, from Mönchengladbach. Oh yeah, well, you want to play for Bayern? Come on. But there's a bigger dog in the house now, way bigger than you. And when that happens, so it's not fair. It's not fair. Is it? So it's only gonna get worse, Johnny. What do you think?
No, I think that why sit there and it's. You can sit there and say, yeah, what he's calling for is basically front office collusion. It's like, no, we are all going to get together and we're not going to pay. But then, someone's going to step out of rank and sit there and go, no, I'm going to pay that. There's always going to be that person that's going to pay that. And it's up to them to figure out what that investment is going to be worth for them. So, if you were to wander up and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge was available for your club, and you really want him and you really need him. I mean, as a player, not like today, not modern day where, you haven't, but like as a player, if you wanted Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and you go and you sit there and it's like, we'll pay $30 million for Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. If I'm in a front office, I'm going to sit there and go, no, me and my buddies want to sit there and we only think he's worth 15 and none of us are going to budge. There's always going to be that dude that's going to sit there and go, no, I'll pay that 30. I want Karl-Heinz Rummenigge because I want to win. And it's up to that investor and that club to sit there and go, yeah, how do we monetize this? How do we make this? How do we make this even? How do we break even on this? How do we turn profit? All those kinds of things. So no, I think that there's always going to be somebody that's going to want to pay the cost to be the boss. And for Rummenigge to sit there and say, we should all kind of dial it back. I'm sorry. That gate got opened a long time ago and the horses are already running, man. That's not going to happen now.
Sir, no. That's why I said, is he whining or he's whining?
No, I mean, I think so. I think that his club isn't getting all the players. He's not winning all the championships, and so that way, no, we need to dial it back just to make it fair. World ain't fair.
Yeah,
the world ain't fair, sir. That's not how this plays.
No, sir.
Okay, next. No, not at all. All right, topic number 4. Advíncula played the family card. Boca let him leave with one caveat. Okay, break this one down for me.
So, a couple of years ago, Quinteros replayed to right? Went to Racing. Then they win they ended up winning the Sudamericana. And at the end of the season, Juan Quintero says, you know what, I got to leave because I had a family matter that forces me to go back to my country. I got to play in Colombia. I got to stay in Colombia. All right. But then he came back to play for River Plate. So, Boca Juniors and Advíncula, the relationship wasn't at the best point right now. Okay, it wasn't right. The good years of Advíncula, they're long gone. Okay, But on the door, Boca Juniors, getting messages, WhatsApps, Insta calls, faxes. I don't know. Does anybody use faxes anymore? I don't think so. But anyway, from
Well, no.
Alianza Lima.
National Signing Day for high school football players. We still use faxes.
Okay, all right, I like that. It's crazy, right? So Alianza Lima won him, right? Alianza Lima won it, Advíncula, but he got a high salary. He got a contract for the next year. His contract expires on December 31st of this year. I'm sorry, 2026. But Advíncula came to the office and to Juan Román Riquelme and said, hey, I've got a family business, family matter, actually, that gotta take care of because I have to. But he got kids in Peru and he got kids in Spain. Right, so the kids from Spain are coming to live in Peru. So I think that has to be there for all the kids from this country and the kids from this other country. They're going to live together. Yeah, he has to be there. All right, that's right. The story. It's a real story. It's not just playing the family card. So, but Boca Juniors say, all right, you want to leave? All right, I want to leave. You leave on a free. He's leaving on a free transfer. All right. Go back to Peru, take care of your family, and la la la. But in that document that he signed, there is a statement that says you can play in Peru and in Peru only. You cannot play in any other country because it's a family business, right? It's a family matter. So you're not going to in June. Oh, Atlético Paranaense wants to play get Advíncula. No, you're not going because if he goes, then Advíncula has to pay Boca Juniors.
Oh yeah.
There's has to pay Boca if he doesn't play in Peru. That's the deal. It's a lot of things. It's a smart move because I mean they don't play Advíncula for real play in July. That'll be so that's the story there with Advíncula and Boca Juniors. And by the way, real play is still making. What's going on with real play, man? That's the problem. You got too much money, man. When you got too much money, you don't know what to play, what to buy. Yeah, I got a yacht. We got 3. Oh, but that's a green one. I don't have a green one. It's what it is. They just signed Matias Viña, Johnny, for and what about Acuna? What about you got 3 left backs? You got 3 left backs, and they signed another one. What is this for, man? That's why I said. Remember what I said about real play at the end of the year.
Oh, I know. And they kick off. I think they kick off the Apertura this weekend, as a matter of fact, or the next thing. Yeah, on the 22nd. Sorry, 2 weeks away. So 2 weeks away is when they start. 22nd is when they start the Apertura weekend. And I remember what Nino Damas said. About River Plate. They start off their season right now as a road favorite at Barraca Central on the 24th of January. So we will see. We will monitor this situation, as the kids say. Next up, Summer Soccer Series is around the corner in Uruguay. Please explain, sir.
Yes, this is for this is a 5th season now that they're playing the Serie del Río de la Plata series in Uruguay. And it's a cool tournament, man. It's a very cool tournament. It's 21 teams playing from Argentina, from Uruguay, from Peru, from Chile. And they all got together in Montevideo. All the games are in Montevideo. And Alianza Lima is playing this tournament. Did I bring this out? Just you know why you brought it up. You know why. Yeah. So the Summer Soccer Series tournament organization called Universitario de Deportes. Right, hey guys, you want to come on and play with San Lorenzo, in Peñarol, in Nacional? And new coach said, no, we're not going. We gotta practice here. We got a business to take care of here. So, okay, thank you. Let me call the next up. Oh, who's the next up? Who's second? Oh, Alianza. You wanna come over here and play? Yeah, we will play. We're gonna play. It's an honor for us to go play the Serie del Río de la Plata. So, second choices, right? Second choices. second places, second thoughts. Yeah, always behind.
But
How
I
did I
mean,
say that?
it's like you sit there and you get your dudes, and it's like, all right, so we don't get you. So how about you? You knock on the door, and then you fill out your tournament. So no, I'm the summer tournament. No one wants to play here. I literally I was doing a search as you were talking. I go Summer Soccer Series Uruguay, and 4 days ago, somebody on YouTube goes the summer tournament. No one wants to play here, and I've got to look at it, but I don't know. It's I imagine that's what we're getting into. Um, Before we get into your World Cup Chronicles,
Yeah.
is there anything else on your plate, on your mind, that you did not put in the notes that you wish to vent your spleen about? Is there something that is concerning to you? What do we need to keep an eye on in the next week before we reconvene, sir, where I will be in a different environment, but I will be catching up with you in a week?
Yes, I do. Johnny, do you guys, there's DirecTV in the States still,
Yeah,
right? You got DirecTV,
absolutely.
right? Yeah, DirecTV. Okay, because I caught the game yesterday, right? The League Cup between Braga and Benfica here on DirecTV, and nobody was calling the game.
Wow.
Only they show the game. I watch the game. I mean, I like it, because I'm used to watch the game without any commentators other than me, and I was like, oh, why nobody's commentating this league? So I went to on Twitter, like, hey, DirecTV guys, there's a guy that knows the Primera Liga a little bit, right? So give me a holler if you need help with that, with that, because it's crazy. And on top of that, I think there were only. Do you watch the game, Johnny, or do you get the chance to watch the game in the
I did
States?
not. It
No?
was
Because,
not listed on any of our TV sheets, and so I did not know that it existed.
it's only for South America. It's DirecTV Latin
Okay.
America. That what they do that, I don't know.
Okay.
It was only for DirecTV Latin America. It's a shame now because at this moment I don't know if there's any carrier that is carrying the Primera Liga, the Portuguese league. I got my all my Portuguese fans are going crazy. Nino, we're gonna watch the games. I don't know, brother. I can't do anything about it. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't have the answer for that. But I don't know if it's Sport TV, which is the Portuguese channel that owns the rights in Portugal. What deal they're gonna make in the States? I don't know yet. But I watch the game silent. I can only hear the stadium noise from here, and you guys can even watch the game in the States. So that was
yeah, that's odd. League Cup final, by the way, is for Saturday. Vitória Guimarães and Braga. Braga is at a minus 127. Vitória Guimarães is a plus 338. Okay, it is time for the World Cup Chronicles. And it is something that you have brought to the table that you want to educate, inform, enlighten, and entertain when it comes to this tournament that is coming here to this hemisphere in the spring and the summer. And it is cool behind-the-scenes stories. If anybody missed it last time out, you got to discuss how a shoe manufacturer got to the front of the line and became noticed on the worldwide stage. So what is in the Nino Torres World Cup fully loaded chronicles this week? What's on your mind?
So first off, we're gonna go into the time trial machine. Get in there, plain, set up the date. 1978, Argentina's World Cup, right? Peru had a fantastic group stage. I mean, we qualified in first place. We got one of the best goals in the tournament with Cubillas. We beat Scotland. We died on. We were awesome. We were awesome, and we tied with the Netherlands, right, in the first group. Number one, boom. Second stage of the tournament comes up. It was a disaster for Peru, but Argentina had to play Peru in the last. And back in the days there were not semifinals because they divided the teams into groups, right? It's Group A and Group B. In and Argentina was in the group with Peru, and Brazil was in the other group, in Group B. All right, no, Group A. I think Argentina was in the same group. All right. But while you checking that, because I don't remember exactly which group was Brazil. I don't remember that part, but I do remember this part, that Brazil, if Argentina didn't win by 4 goals against Peru, Brazil will be in the final against the Netherlands. That was the deal, right? So they got played in a Jesus. So it was Argentina versus Peru. In right before the game. I mean, should I say the score first, or should I say the score after?
Oh no. Score last, because I'm staring at it. If I know where you're going, I'm staring at the score.
We're holding on it, right? So it was. I mean, Peru had a great team, but they were eliminated already from the cup, so they're just gonna play for the honor, for the pride.
Mm-hmm.
And Argentina has to score at least 4. They gotta win by 4 goals. Doesn't matter if Peru score 1, they gotta score 5. Anyway, but right before the game, an illustrious guest shows up in the Peruvian locker room, knocking on the door. Knock. Who's this? It's Jorge Videla. You guys know who Jorge Videla was? Well, he was the president of Argentina. Well, not president. He was a dictator. I'm sorry. let me rephrase that, because
he was the man. He was the man in charge.
He was the man in charge, right? He was the man in charge, and he was a good friend with Francisco Morales Bermudez, who was the man in charge at the time in Peru. I gotta remind you guys, if you guys don't know, back in the 70s, almost every single country in South America was run for a dictatorship, by a military. It was Pinochet in Chile, Stroessner in Paraguay, Videla in Argentina. It was a dictator's party in South America back in the day, right? So he shows up, and they were saying that he was very convincing. No, he was a persuasive guy, right? He could deliver a speech to them, to honor their participation in the World Cup. So they went up after the game, after that glorious and infamous pep talk, probably the most infamous pep talk of all time, because Peru lost 6-0. 6-0. They didn't even. They shot once on goal. Once. And Argentina went ahead and advanced to the finals in 1978. And of course, they won the title at the Monumental with Passarella and company and Menotti and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that was the most famous pep talk in history.
Yes. They called it the second group stage, is what they called it.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
You had Group A, which was Netherlands, Italy, West Germany, and Austria. And you had Group B, which was Argentina, Brazil, Poland, and Peru.
Yeah.
And, 6-0. Kempes in the 21st and the 49th. Tarantini scores in the 43rd. Luque scores in the 50th and the 72nd. And Hausmann scores in the 67th in front of a crowd of 37,315 at Rosario Central. Robert Wirtz from France was the man in the middle. 6-0. And then that meant that Argentina and Brazil go to the finals, the knockout stage, the final. Argentina and the Netherlands. Kempes scores twice. Bertoni scores in AET, and Argentina wins the World Cup 3-1 over the Netherlands at River Plate in front of Sergio Gonella, the man in the middle, and a crowd of 71,483. Mario Kempes, 6 goals, top scorer in the tournament.
Yes, sir.
So,
you like my story?
And now you know the rest of the story. Actually, why am I saying this? What are you up to in the next week, by the way, sir?
I don't know, brother. I don't know. We'll see.
Where's the cooking going?
The cooking going is going crazy, brother. I made a deal with the with the club at the beach. So I went out to the lady in the kitchen. They got a guys, you got desserts. Oh, Mr. Nino, how you doing? La la la. Yes, I mean we got some desserts here. Let me bring you mine. So if mine are better than the ones you have, I'm gonna be your provider, right? Boom, deal. All right, just bring it on. Okay. They showed up with my cakes, and it's just like, oh yes, we want yours. All right, boom. I made a deal. So you gotta do what you gotta do, brother, man.
Yep, Nino the Baker on Instagram. So I found out how we're going to end your World Cup Chronicles every week. We're going to do this.
Now you know the rest of the story.
That's our buddy Paul Harvey. So we will keep an eye on everything here. We love you very much. You're making us jealous with all the chocolate that you're using when it comes to all your desserts. We're gaining 4 and 5 pounds each and every time that we're watching all the stuff. It's fantastic to see what you're doing there. Like I said, come and crash anytime. And thank you for answering the bat signal with Ruben Amorim and all that kind of stuff. And we will catch up with you next week, my friend. We love you very much.
All right. Thank you, Johnny. See you next week, guys. Take care.
All right. There goes Nino Torres. And he's going to go bake now. Look, dude, if you go to Nino the Baker on Instagram, you will see more chocolate per photo than any other person on the planet. Any other person on the planet. You look at his stuff that he bakes now, and it is literally, it is dessert. You gain like 3, 4, 5 pounds just looking at his desserts. It is absolutely crazy what he does with his desserts. So go and follow Nino. Oh no, see. Now he's showing me in the green room. He's got his fresh chocolate. It is a vat that is about that tall. It's about a foot deep and about a foot wide, and it is full of chocolate. So now he's just got me insanely jealous. All right, tagging in, tagging out. We go from Lima, Peru to Seattle, Washington. Find out what's going on in the Palouse with our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. And let's check the lighting. Oh, the mood lighting is there this morning. Check that out. Look at you, brother. What's going on?
What's going on, Big John? Everybody, SDH family, we're back in just regular programming hours. We are back with the right attitude, and hopefully I'm coming in okay because I was having some issues with my microphone. By your look, it sounds like everything's fine. So, hey, man, let's get going. This is, cup number 2 of the morning of a nice cup of Pike Place blend here today. So we are excited to talk some Sounders as well today. We have some news coming in about the Sounders. Everybody's getting ready for preseason. We have a lot of stuff going on in MLS, man. So I'm just here to dance at the beat of your drum, my friend. So you tell me where we go. What do we do?
Well, we got to start with the home team because there has been some stuff that has happened. I know that one of the big topics of conversation we had when the season ended was the status of Paul Rothrock and what was going to happen. Was it going to be a contract where he was going to get 800, 900 somewhere in there? Is he going to stay? Is he going? Who's going to get him? What's up? He stays, and that's probably one of the bigger storylines in the Pacific Northwest, not just in Seattle, but I think one of the bigger storylines in the Western Conference going into 26.
Absolutely. Look, Paul Rothrock, say what you want about him. You may know him, you may not. You may think very highly of him or not. Like, he was put in the exact same stratosphere as Lionel Messi. Same context. Everybody talked about it. So, he got some recognition. And to give him due credit, he was excellent for the Sounders last season. He had been an important piece. He went from being a contributor to a starter to someone that Hakimi was exchanging jerseys with after the PSG game. I mean, Paul Rothrock did his thing to give and show that he deserves some respect. Put some respect on my name. And he knew that going into a free agency market was going to be difficult and it was going to be new, but he wanted to do it. And he ended up going out there. There is a story right now through Sandro Hart that he had some interesting offers from the English Premier Championship. And he said that there were other pools that he could have gotten into, but he ended up staying with the Sounders because of everything that he's done and being the local kid. So as we had talked about previously, and when we were reporting what was happening and all of the MLS teams that were interested, I continually said that the best option for both club and player was that there was going to be a resolution, and that's what happened. I think he gets a raise. They're not overpaying for the player. I still have no indication that the salary's anywhere far away from what we were reporting, which is between 600 to 650,000 in salary. So I think it's a win-win for both sides. Seattle needed the depth at the winger position. They needed to make sure to keep them. I think it's going to create some fun and interesting competition. I will say that Paul Rothrock, as much as he's confident and he probably thinks, look, I'm going to get a lot of playtime. I'm going to be a starter. Paul Arriola has looked like he's ready to go to start the season. So when this Sounders team goes to Marbella to do their preseason, I think wingers like Georgie, Paul Arriola, Paul Rothrock, that's going to be a very interesting grouping on that left side. If everything stays as is, which that is something else that we can talk about later on a couple of months from now, is do the Sounders play the exact same way they did last season, with Ferreira being that pocket winger on the right side? So a lot of things that fluidly come across because of the Sounders being able to secure their guy, Pauly Primetime.
So then let me ask about off the field. How does losing an assistant coach to LAFC affect things on the touchline and on a learning day basis over at Providence and Swedish Bouncy House and 5-minute oil change?
As always, assistant coaches are underrated, and we don't quite understand how important they are until they're gone. But I think it's huge. In the biggest void is having a coach like Andy Rose that had such a common ground with players. He was a liaison. He was someone that players felt very comfortable with. He was someone that put a lot of work in on the field. He was someone that, worked in set pieces and worked in defending and did a lot of work with Guillermo Gomez Andrade, with Jackson Reagan. He did it with Obed. I mean, he was just so influential in so many components of what Freddie Juarez and Brian Smetzer and Preki wanted to do, that I don't know if the new guy, which we'll talk about that in a second, is going to have those attributes. But it's clearly a good move for Andy Rose. He goes to be the second guy for Mark Dos Santos. And I think beyond certifications and education at the coaching level, I always feel like there are things that you don't learn, and it's just the persona and the way you deliver a message and the way that you handle your curriculum. And I think Andy Rose has that chip. He has that thing about him, that X factor about making him a good coach. So I definitely think he's going to be a big loss for the Sounders. I think he's going to be important at LAFC. And now the new guy is Ricardo Clark, who I had reported on here and on several shows that he was going to be the Tacoma Defiance coach. That's why he was brought in. That's what he ended up going through the interview process for. And he was a little overqualified. So when Andy Rose took this job, it made sense to just go ahead and bring up Ricardo Clark, and we'll see what happens with the head coaching position for Tacoma Defiance. I just don't know if this is like for like, so there will be a learning curve. Ricardo Clark without a doubt, has a lot of experience when it comes to being an assistant coach. But does he fit with the group? Is he going to bring the same attributes that Andy Rose did? I don't quite know. But that's the guy. That's the substitution there in terms of the coaching staff.
Yep, light board went up. Ricardo Clark goes in as Andy Rose goes out. What else do we need to know about what's going on in Seattle? We've talked about absences. We know who's coming in, and we know who's now in place. You're still you're a little while before you get to pitchers and catchers report, but what do we need to keep an eye
on? Yes, there is a set of news, and it has been it was a rumor, then it was confirmed by Jeremiah Oshan, and I actually this morning, as I look at making sure that I don't say anything I'm not supposed to, it looks like it's a done deal that the Sounders are getting Nikola Petkovic from Charlotte FC in a loan. This is a U22 midfielder that was a prospect 2 years ago. That was an interesting one for sure, that there was a lot of expectations, but he didn't quite fill those in Charlotte. And that's my skepticism. That's my underwhelming feeling when I hear the U22 with a name right next to it. U22s are supposed to be exciting. They're supposed to give you a sense of a high ceiling, a guy that's going to come in to either perform immediately or he's going to come in and be a project that has a high ceiling. I don't see either when it comes to this specific player. I thought that maybe the Sounders were going to go out there and look for a different profile midfielder if that's what they were going to do, is try to add depth at that position. And they're not, they don't really have a six, like a true six, a true disturber, a true defensive only type of guy in their roster right now. Nicola is more of an 8. He actually likes to get higher up the field. I've been doing a lot of research on his play, and he finds attacking spaces very well. He creates opportunities in the few times he got, because let's make that very clear. Last season, he only played 4 matches for Charlotte in last season. He had a hard time getting in Dean Smith's rosters charge, right, in the starting 11, and that is concerning. We all know that at times, if you don't fit a coach's style, or if you are in a position where you were brought in and the coach didn't ask for you, that could be taken into consideration. But it still makes me feel a little bit uneasy. So this all comes to one more thing that we need to talk about here, and it's what I call a tell. And same as in the poker table, there are tells, there are things that you're looking for. To me, this is a tell that the Sounders are going to do everything they can to put Obed in the transfer block in January, and they're going to ship him elsewhere. Because as of right now, and I've been doing a lot of digging into the situation, I don't see a resolution between Obed Vargas and the Sounders for a contract extension. I mean, negotiations are ongoing, but this is what I was told. We are farther than closer. We're getting farther than closer. That is literally something that I just found out over the last 3 days, is that the negotiations between the Sounders and Obed Vargas are far away from coming to a conclusion. So that leaves the Sounders very exposed. Either you sell him in this winter window, or you roll the dice and hope that he doesn't get a pre-contract in the summer where he's going to be able to go on a free. Now, for Obed Vargas, he has all the leverage. He, other than an injury, that could happen. If everything goes well, he's going to have all of the leverage to go and negotiate. He's a talent. He's someone that has a lot of interest from European teams. And it sounds like Obed Vargas' camp is very confident that without the need of having an extended contract or a club talking for him, they can go out there and get a very good offer in Europe. So it's a difficult situation. But all of this, Nicola coming in, Hassani Dotson coming in, it just tells me that the Sounders are getting ready to offload Obed Vargas, and yeah, that's kind of all part of one big problem for the Seattle Sounders.
And just so folks know, Petkovic last year combined with Crown Legacy and MLS Next Pro and with Charlotte, it was 11 appearances, all comps, 1 goal, 1 assist. In 24, he had 14 appearances with the top club with Charlotte, 14 matches and 1 goal, 18 appearances in 24, and just the 1 goal. So you're looking at roughly 30 appearances over 2 seasons for both Crown Legacy and for Charlotte FC, 2 goals, 1 assist for Nikola Petkovic. And his positioning so far in his pro career, he has been a central midfielder in 13 matches, a D mid in 12 of them. He's been an attacking mid, a left mid, and a second striker in 7. So 13 at central mid, 12 at D mid, 7 in other midfield and striker positions, and that includes his time. So that's what you're staring at with the positions played with Nikola Petkovic. And just so you know, I had to check this out really quickly, see if I could spell Petkovic. He's got a high price tag. He comes in last season at a base of $420, nice, and guaranteed compensation of $466.25. So Petkovic, that's a bit of rolling the dice there on somebody that really hasn't produced and who's supposed to be earning $466.25 that he did with Charlotte last year.
So I'm not crazy. I mean, that's the head scratcher for me, right? That is this conundrum that I'm in, because I try to make sense out of what Craig Weibel does, and I give him credit when credit is due. But things like this, I don't know, they just don't make any sense to me. You just basically gifted Danny Leyva to Necaxa, a guy that, for all senses, is the same type of player that is an offensive player. He could play the 8, he could play the 10. He's part of your academy. He's a product of the club. He knows and understands the system. You gift him for, I don't know, 700 or 800,000 with possibility to get $1 million or so if he plays well for Necaxa. And now you go and spend double his salary with a guy that has not panned out for Charlotte, that is also, for everything that I've was able to talk to people close to Charlotte, people who follow the player, that look, he's technically gifted, not the fastest, he reads space as well. I'm hearing some of the things that we saw from Danny Leyva, or at least that the club thought that they had concerns of, is the dynamism, the speed, and things like that. So I just don't get it. Now, maybe it's because it's a body that might be on a free because it's a loan and it's cheap, and there is potential that this is an option with this is a loan with an option to purchase. So if he plays well, maybe you get him on the cheap. That's fine. But are you getting better? Is that ceiling getting higher because of this specific player? No, it's not. So those are the things that kind of they're odd, right? Because you're spending more than you gave out on a player that essentially does the same stuff. So again, I don't want to be too critical. I want to see the player come in, perform. I need to see him myself before I could add any more thoughts into the situation. But right now, it just doesn't make much sense to me, knowing that this team, in my opinion, needs another striker, that there is other positions of need. So it is what it is, but that's where the Sounders are at going into what I believe Monday. We'll be able to go back to Providence and Swedish Bouncy House and Clubhouse. So Monday we'll figure out what's going on. But this move doesn't quite sit well with me.
And Hassani Dotson's 25 salary is listed totally at 6.25 was base, guaranteed comp is 682.5. So those are the numbers that you're looking at.
And that's going up.
Yeah. So
that's going up. So that's a lot of money spent there, right? I mean, you're for everything I've been able to find out, it's like 800 to 800 plus that you're going to be paying salary base for Hassani Dotson. That's almost small pickings. That is a big salary. You that guy is going to be playing a lot of minutes for you. So it all ends up being a domino effect. You're gonna want to get Obed out to make things make sense. Otherwise, you're gonna have a very convoluted, very occupied center midfielding group with maybe some salary cap space that you could have used elsewhere. So I don't know. This thing just could go sideways on the Sounders, and I don't like it. I do not like it.
How does San Jose let Christian Espinosa go? And specifically now he's looking at Nashville. And so that's intriguing on two fronts.
Initially, it was reported as a mistake and a boo-boo. I have a hard time understanding how that happens. They weren't able to sign him at the right time, whatever it was. They gave him the opportunity to go out there and look elsewhere. As far as I know, there was more money to be had with San Jose anyways, but he decides that it was time for a change, and I don't blame him. I mean, he's been in San Jose for a long time. He's known the struggles of what it means to wear that jersey. Great fan base, a great culture, but at the end of the day, that is a team that has struggled to win. And it seems to be systematically. I mean, it's just so difficult. So he goes to Nashville with BJ Callahan in a team that, quite honestly, they're going to be a contender in the East. I mean, last year I was high on them. I thought that they were building up to be a very good team. You put him next to Mukhtar and Sam Surridge, and you have a very good attacking-minded team. You have a very good attacking trio. So, man, more power to Christian Espinosa. I think that he's going to amplify that attack. I think that he fits that system, and he could only get better with BJ Callahan. So, great move for Nashville. Great move for Espinosa.
Messi and friends keep adding pieces, and a lot of folks are sitting there and wondering how they're fitting all of these pieces in. They add Mikael on a loan deal from Palmeiras. It looks like, and I say it looks like, that they're keeping an eye on Portland, possibly bringing in Ayala. There was a report yesterday that Tristan Blackman would be heading that way, but then Axel Schuster, we read that in hour number one. Axel Schuster was like, "Nah, fam, that ain't right. We're looking to add, we're not looking to sell." It looks like once again, folks retire, and you're seeing the churn for Messi and friends, and trying to continue to have that depth that is there. Dane St. Clair is now officially official as well. They keep adding pieces, and the financial aspect of it is obviously the part that folks are scratching their head as to how are they making all these pieces fit, and they might still be adding pieces as we get ready for training camp.
Especially because they still have an open DP spot, because they were able to re-sign Allende without using that. And look, I don't go and waste time complaining or thinking about it, because I know that the salary cap space, we know that that team specifically has had some issues. They've been, hit in the wrist by mom and dad about just not following the rules. So they're going to be able to, they know and understand what it takes to bring these players in, whether that's on the books or off the books. Me and you have talked about how things happen sometimes with these types of players and these types of clubs. But the reality is that having Messi and having Mascherano and having the Inter Miami recruiting tools, sometimes you'll take a pay cut, just like Dane St. Clair did. And you just want to go and be part of greatness, and you want to play with greatness. So you can't be too mad at it. Obviously, I hope that they are held accountable, and that, everything's being followed, at least on the books, as it's supposed to. But look, Mikael, to me, makes him so much better than last season. I mean, so much better. I don't care the Alba's gone. I don't care the Busquets gone. Mikael, St. Clair, bringing back Allende. This is a team that with every single acquisition they've made this season, they've gotten better. They've either replaced what was gone and then got better. You're waiting for a big Silvetti year. Now Segovia becomes a rotational player. Ayala, which as far as I know, that's also, if not completed, near getting completed. That's a player that has huge upside, that it is a gamble because of the way his contract is kind of placed, but that's what ambition is sometimes. You just kind of take it, and you're able to bring in a player that has different attributes than Bright, and he has a high ceiling. I think he played like 30 games for Portland, and I've always liked him, and he learned from the best of the best at midfield in Diego Chara, and I heard great things from Diego about Ayala. So, man, I just think that Inter Miami is doing the unthinkable, creating a super team. But what I will say is this: for everybody that's upset, they're also putting a huge target on their backs. Anytime that you bring this much talent, and anytime that you're cooking this heavily in the kitchen and it smells so good, when it hits my table, that plate better be delicious, because I'm gonna, the expectation is as high as it gets. So we're gonna be thinking CONCACAF Cup champions. We're gonna be thinking MLS champions. We're gonna be thinking they're gonna win it all, everything, and that expectation is hard to keep up with. So we'll see. But right now, in the off season, they're cooking, baby. They are doing it all.
I mean, you look at the Yelp rating, and it's 4.8. You get 4.8s and 5s, and you don't want to be the one when you're walking into the restaurant to sit there. And I've heard great reviews. You sit down and things are cold, and the drinks aren't great, and the servers are on a bad day. You don't want that to act up on your Yelp review when it comes to the what you're cooking in the kitchen for Messi and friends. The deal, Herman Garcia Grova was the first to report it yesterday. Looking to acquire Ayala, $2 million cash. And so now we're starting to see the intra-league cash deals also picking up steam. That started last year in a couple of different places. This would be one of those $2 million intra-league cash deals. Stays as a U22, which once again helps out in that regard, where you don't have to sit there and have him be a high tam or whatever. He's a U22, so that helps you out there, like it did with Austin and Owen Wolf. If you can get David Ayala in as a U22 to help you out there, they say it's close. He's out of contract at the end of the year. So then what you're doing is, if you get Ayala, you get him as a U22, you set your deal with him where he was going to be out of contract. You get everything locked in before he turns 22, and then that number doesn't hit you as hard as it would otherwise. And so David Ayala, I'm like I said, I'm intrigued as to see how this fits. But U22 to have it fit as a start and then have him sign like it was the Owen Wolf deal, that's how I think this one fits into the dynamics of your salary cap.
And it makes you deeper. It makes you better. It makes you a scary team to face. Midfield was always, in my opinion, an Achilles heel for Inter Miami, regardless of how good they were and how far they got. If you were going to beat them, it was going to be through midfield. It was going to be defensively through space. Now they're just shoring up all those holes. Despite, aside from a injury or anything like that, Inter Miami just looks at the big bad wolf that, they're going to be able to just take care of everybody between, getting Reggie and everything that they were able to do in this offseason with what they already had, including just keeping Luis Suarez for another year. I mean, they're swinging for the fences, and we'll see how much Toronto deals with it. Nothing set on stone. That's why we play the games. Just the way of the world. That's the way of the world we live in sports. Sometimes just having it on paper doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition on the pitch. But right now, as it stands, it's in Miami and everybody else.
David Lee, sporting director at Sporting Kansas City, said that there were going to be double-digit changes or double-digit additions to the roster. Rafa Vicky is now the new head coach at Sporting. Walker Zimmerman heads to Toronto on a free, and so that hopefully helps them out defensively. They brought in William Yarbrough to help out in net. It was going to be Luka Gavrin who was going to be starting, so now you have your experienced backup with Yarbrough. I'm trying to sit here, and if there's anything that Ali Bedoya has re-signed with Philadelphia this morning, so that is now officially official as well. RSL's made a couple of moves, including getting Chance Cowell for 6 figures worth of Garber bucks. Portland has brought in Brandon Bai, which I thought was really good to help them out on the back line. Crepeau is officially official from Portland to Orlando City in the purple team. What other transactions, like in the last week or so, have kind of stuck with you? You're like, aha, and you're keeping an eye on those.
Yeah, the Timbers also brought the Australian defender Alex Bonick, and I think the Western Conference is making some interesting moves. and it's going to change the dynamic of the entire standings. We'll see what happens with Houston and potentially bringing Bogut's. I feel like that's a big pickup for Houston if they do get him. There is reports of Hector Herrera coming back to MLS, and I'm hearing that could be on the West Conference as well. So there are some things going on, but I feel like the biggest thing is that Vancouver, I hope that is true what we're hearing, that their point right now is to retain, because they lost Jaden Nelson, they lost Ali Ahmed. I mean, this is a team that needs to keep what they have, right? There was talks about Cuba's leaving. This is a team that collectively, that was their spark. That's what made them different, right? And if they start to lose all of these pieces, there's a good chance that they're not going to be top of the West next season, right? Same as Portland. Portland is losing a 30 game type of midfielder. The one that I thought was going to take the torch from Diego Chara, Christian Paredes, is about to sign with Cerro Porteño. So what happens to that midfield? What happens to Cabecita Rodriguez? We don't really know what's going to happen with him. I mean, they got Velde and Costa, and there are some interesting pieces there, but Phil Neville is another one that seems to be just remodeling the house, and we'll see what that looks like at the end. But I don't see enough coming into what I've seen coming out as of right now. So I think that there's a lot of teams in the West that at this particular moment don't look like they're, there's a lot of high potential. I'm waiting for San Diego to do more as well. That's another team that I feel like needs to build on what they did last season. Austin, they picked up Jaden Nelson. They got some small things going for them, but nothing that's going to tilt the scale on their end. So we'll see. I think that the Western Conference is a more fluid concept than the East is, right? I mean, LAFC also, they have to see what happens with Marc Dos Santos. I'm very high on Marc Dos Santos. I think that he's going to handle the team well, but that puts a little bit of a question mark. How is that going to work? LA Galaxy, no Ricky Puig next season. How are they going to deal with that? How is that going to work out? Do they replace him? Do they go get another DP? They just decided to keep Nacimiento. I like the move. I don't mind it, but is he that guy? So the West just looks like we don't know what's going to happen.
And that's why we have you on every Thursday to break it all down. What do folks need to know about what's going on with Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports?
Yes, we have an excellent what we learned so far is what we've called it, because the season has started. We haven't been able to be at the facility yet, but if you go to the Sounder at Heart Podcast Network and the Sounder at Heart YouTube page, you'll find me and Jeremiah talking about all of these moves. We talk about, Andy Rose, what that might look like, what that could happen, what the Marbella schedule is, and when the team leaves, what to expect from that end. So go ahead and check that out. We have some very interesting interviews that they're coming up. I haven't completely secured them, but there's going to be some very interesting ones next season. Pulso Sports, of course, we're going to be at the facility for the Sounders on Monday. We're going to have some interesting content there. So yes, sir, that's what we got going on.
As always, my friend, it's great to see you. It's going to be great to have everybody reporting and getting the 2026 season underway. Be safe, my friend. Enjoy time at Providence and Swedish 5-minute oil change and delicatessen, and we will catch up with you again next week.
All right, my friend. Have a good one.
There goes Niko Moreno, everybody. And it's always great to catch up with Niko and find out what's going on in the Western Conference. He is our Western Conference oracle. He's the guy that we go to. 2 cups of coffee in, and he was ready to bring the heat. We always dig that when he comes in and breaks it all down for us. A couple of quick notes before we go. One involving USL Championship. Leo Afonso apparently has signed with Rhode Island FC and our friend Michael Parkhurst. And so Leo Afonso is going to be a part of RIFC's work going forward. I had a cup of coffee with Atlanta United last year and with Atlanta United too. 32nd overall in the 2024 Super Draft. Chris Henderson brought him in from his time with Inter Miami. 2 goals, 1 assist, 11 appearances with the senior team in 24. And then in 25, traded for an international roster slot to Atlanta. And 8 appearances, all comps, 192 minutes. And so historically an inverted left winger. And so it'll be interesting to see how Afonso integrates with Jose Quizera, Noah Fuson, and Dwayne Atkinson. So you've got J.J. Williamson and Albert Dikwa in the middle, and Leo Afonso, he will be on the left-hand side, and we'll see how that works as well. A couple of quick things involving the U.S. women's national team. They have they've got their grids sorted for the next go-round, and we know who's coming into camp. 26 players, the WNT training camp roster for matches against Paraguay and Chile. Trinity Rodman returns to the roster for the first time since April of 2025. It's an entirely made-up roster of NWSL players. Riley Jackson, Sally Menti, Maddie Darling, Rylan Turner, Rylan Turner, and you get that. So it's going to be 26 players, training camp, Dignity Health Sports Park, Carson, California. Matches on the 24th against Paraguay, and at the 27th at Harder Stadium in Santa Barbara, California. That is where the Santa Barbara Sky, when they come online, they're supposed to be playing. So it'll be a good display to see where Harder Stadium is in its renovations as they get ready for life in the USL coming up in a couple of seasons. But the 24th of January, Dignity Health Sports Park, Carson, California. 27th against Chile in Santa Barbara. So Trinity Rodman returns. She has the most caps and goals, 47 and 11 of anyone on the roster. The other 22 field players having combined 17 international goals. Match against Brazil, Rodman's only WNT appearance since the 24 gold medal match. And training camp falls outside the FIFA competition window. So Hayes made up a roster of NWSL players. Rodman currently unattached, according to the release from U.S. Soccer. 4 first-time call-ups, Darlene, Turner, Jackson, and Menti. Darlene and Jackson featured in all 5 of the U23 WNT events and 25 on the roster for the Futures Camp this time last year. Menti was in 2 U23 WNT camps last season as well. Darlene and Jackson, they played key roles for the third-place finish at the U20s in Colombia. 4 additional players on this roster. In defenders, Jordan Bugg, Giselle Thompson, Claire Hutton, and Allie Sentner. They returned from the senior team roster, helping to lead the U23s to the wins over Slovakia and England during the last FIFA window. Sentner scored in both matches. So the roster of 26, in net, Claudia Dickey, Mandy McGlynn, Jordan Silkowitz. Defenders, Jordan Bugg, Avery Patterson, Izzy Rodriguez, Tara Rudd, Emily Sams, Giselle Thompson, Kennedy Wesley, and Kate Wiesner. Midfielders, Croy Bethune, Hal Hirschfeld, Claire Hutton, Riley Jackson, Lola Labonta, Sally Menti, Sam Meza, Olivia Moultrie. Forwards, Maddie Darlene, Jamise Joseph, Trinity Rodman, Yasmin Ryan, Emma Sears, Allie Sentner, Rylan Turner. And so you have these 2 matches on the 24th and the 27th. And it was 9 players on the roster from Southern California. Average age of the 26-player roster, 24.1. Average caps per player is just 6.6. 5 uncapped players on the roster, excluding the 2 players on the roster who've played in Senior World Championship events, Rodman and Bethune. The roster averages just 5 caps a player. Roster for the matches against Italy averages 27.5, and the roster for October was 27.3. Roster for the June-July window, one of the most inexperienced cap-wise in modern history, 10 caps per player, more than the current January camp roster. Emma Hayes has coached 30 matches, given 27 players their first senior team caps. Wesley was the 25th, Jamise Joseph 26, Wiesner 27. Tara McCune got married, notes from U.S. Soccer, and will play under her married name Rudd for the first time during this camp. She returns to the roster after not playing in the final 2 matches of the FIFA window. Yasmin Ryan returns to the roster after not having been selected in the final window of 25. 14 of the players played for the USA in a FIFA Youth World Cup. Emma Sears ended the 25 season with 10 goals. Top American goal scorer in the league, Olivia Moultrie, had 8 for the Thorns. No players from Gotham were available due to the club's participation in the FIFA Women's Champions Cup in England at the end of the month. Gotham faces Corinthians in the semifinal January 28th, championship game February 1. The 3 keepers in camp have a total of 10 career caps. Claudia Dickey, 6. Mandy McGlynn, 4. Jordan Silkowitz gets her second call-up, one of the 4 uncapped players in camp. 1 teenager, Jordan Bugg, who is 19, turns 20 in August. Claire Hutton turns 20 on January 11. 23 players in their 20s, just one in her 30s. Lola Bonta, the oldest player ever to debut for the women's national team. 8 players on the WNT were a part of the Futures Camp in Florida. Bug, Thompson, Hutton, Jackson, Darling, Joseph, Patterson, and Turner. So that's where we are with those. 41st year of competition with the match against Paraguay. 13 players made their debuts in 2025, and 8 players who've earned U23 minutes are on the roster. So that is the rundown of what's going to be happening in the January training camp for matches against Paraguay and Chile for the women's national team. Boston Legacy has signed Colombian defender Jorlyn Carabali, and she comes as a transfer from Brighton on a 2-year deal with a club option to renew. So that came out this morning as well. Trying to see if there's anything else. Revolution are interested in Griffin Yao, so keep an eye on that. Let's see. I think in the news department, I think that pretty much covers where we are today. We mentioned what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. So tomorrow, your rundown is as follows. It is an opportunity to catch up with Valdosta High soccer coach Cody Case. And we're going to catch up with him out of the blocks. Really special moment that's going to be happening in South Georgia on the weekend clinic from the University of South Carolina. So we'll talk about that with Cody, talk about South Georgia soccer with Cody, get a bit of a preview as to what's going on Region 1-6A and how the sport has grown, and get a little bit of background on him and see what Wintersville might be like when it comes to soccer. So we'll find out about that. Efforting a couple of other things, including our buddy Ben Jacobs, who was running his Give Me Sports show while we were doing ours this morning. We'll see if we can catch up with him for hour number 2. But we're also going to catch up with Philip Goodrum. And Philip Goodrum goes to Lex SC, and we're going to find out what it's going to be like for him and what he's been learning in each of his stops now that he's going to be on the flip side of the Bluegrass Derby, going from Louisville to Lexington. So tomorrow, Cody Case, Philip Goodrum, efforting some other folks as well, and hoping that they can crash in and out of the show on a very, very busy Friday to get you ready for the weekend. So for everybody here, to all of you there, morning, David. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. That is another go-round of SDH AM. Thanks to Nino. Thanks to Nico. Thanks to you. Go ahead and follow Nico on the Insta, Nino the Baker. You can see all of the chocolate that he has that he's got cooking in his kitchen currently. So he's making us all jealous, and he's making us all fat by just staring at his photos. So thanks to Nino. Thanks to Nico. Thanks to you for dropping by for another go-round of SDH AM. Back at it again in a little less than 22 hours. And because of that, since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Mucho platial. Play it safe. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. See you there.